Thank you all for showing up for this talk. I do have a wonderful, this is a bit old, from the Bureau of Justice Assistance. This is how you should know whether or not someone using a computer is suspicious. The TLDR of this is everyone in this room. It includes things such as overly concerned about privacy. Use of a residential-based internet provider, that makes zero sense to me. Use of an anonymizer or proxy or anything to shield your actual IP address. This is a guy my dad used to work with told me that I supported terrorism because I used Tor. Like, all right. Yeah, he was a CCNA security guy. I doubt you learned that from Cisco, Omar, sorry. Anyway, that's just there. And in honor of this, though, I've prepared a special outfit because this is America, and we were back-to-back World War champs. And you know what? We're about to bring the freedom to the world. By God. So, yeah.
I'll start playing Eye of the Tiger.
That's fine. That's fine. Anything to. Used to be commies, now it's the. Can I say towelhead? Is that allowed? I think that's what we call them derogatorily, right? If you want to wear a towel on your head, I don't give a shit. All right. Lockpicking. Oh, even better. U-Drink protocol. This is a great thing. Anybody not know what this is? All right, U-Drink protocol is a great thing Deviant came up with as an adaptation. You already know what it is. It's an adaptation of the schmooball thing. Basically, it's an excuse to drink during talks. What you do is the presenter will prepare the drink of his choosing, explain it. Preferably, it has some sort of meaning to that individual. Mine is just a serious bro drink. Like, it's like way to get sloshed. And what we're doing here is our drink is called the Jacob Apple Bomb. And props to Sec Moose for introducing me to this drink. Props to Doozy for naming it and telling Jacob that this drink is named after him. So he actually knows we're having a drink out of him. And it's basically a lot of hard cider and a lot of Schlager. So we're going to start pouring. I have 3 already dued out for Deviant and for Sec Moose and for Doozy for their contributions to this effort. Adam will bring those back to you. But we'll go ahead and get going. Basically, if I goof or I just decide to take a drink, I have to. And if I decide you should have a drink, then you should have a drink. So if you want to like yell at me or, yeah, all right, raise your hand, we'll get you a drink. Because seriously, we've got like a whole, yeah, Adam, are you slow? We got a lot to get done here. Let's just, right? Yeah, welcome to Fail. This is what our meets are like, actually. Take our own drinks to the bar. Anyway, while we're getting the drinks ready, I have a short presentation. This was going to be for Al, but where is Al? So, he's on his way? Well, we'll pick it up later. This is instead to Mr. Yared, Conspiracy. Why you should let me touch your butt. Here's a list of reasons. My hands, soft as silk. You know? You know the things you could be missing? I could be really good at it. No downside at all. I will make you cookies. I promise not to put roofies in the cookies. My happiness level goes up. Your happiness level goes up. Win-win. All the positives, see 0 negatives. This kitten would want you to let me touch her butt. Oh. Yeah, Treefort's totally getting black bag too, so his talk's next. Oh, wait. Okay. America! All right, so let's actually talk about picking locks. We are Fail. This is... Okay. Wait. This is very much a basics talk. Yeah, we're gonna drink if Adam will finish up pouring them. He's like trying to be all proper about it. I might have a date later, guys. You gotta be real careful about this. Someone will spill it. We are trolls. We really don't care. We try to get kicked out of cons, and then when they invite us back, tell them no. That company will be here tomorrow. We do have a website, and you can use the Konami code on it. I promise it won't hack your things. We do have a Twitter. I don't know why. We have a subreddit. I really don't know why. We have Little Hand Louie, which is we all had like a manic swing one night where we took a bunch of pictures of Louis C.K. and shrunk one of his hands. And just posted it on Tumblr. Oh, why not? And then Rifle Burst swag. Burst. I am a pen tester. And like I probably should have led with this, I'm not here on behalf of my company. It's really easy to find out who I work for, and they're a good company. I mean, they're okay. They take care of me. They let me do what the hell I want. But they're a little bit more professional than I am. So if you find my picture on our website, I'm even in a tie, which they actually made me borrow from another coworker because I showed up for picture day without a tie. I was like, I'm not gonna wear a leash for the man. So we meet regularly to drink and look at locks. We have lots of locks. We'll have them all out tomorrow. We do attempt to remove obscurity from physical security. If you've heard these talks before, there's a lot of woo around locksmithing, and there's a lot of secrecy that I don't think should be there. I think free and open information is a good thing, especially when you're making decisions about how to secure your things. May I have a bottle opener? Cool. We got all the drunkies show up. I got it. The other disclaimer here is we don't necessarily condone illegal activities. Basically what that means is if you're like, oh, we're going to do it from fail, it'll be like, fuck you, I never heard of you. Again, this may or may not be North Korea's IP range. They may or may not have flown some missiles around today, so if you may or may not find some lulls this weekend in that IP range, I may or may not have a prize for you. Just saying. First one to find a nuclear facility automatically wins. So yeah, locks. We're going to talk about pin tumbler locks. We're going to talk about wafer locks. We're going to talk a little bit about handcuffs. But honestly, it's intro. I'm not talking about high security locks here. So if you thought that was what you were coming for, I'm very sorry. I will not give your money back for this. So why do locks matter? If I can get to a shitty network closet like this with one of those, it means I'm winning. And that guy's not coming. I'm really sorry. Consequences will never be the same. But all right, so I got to know this. Cyber. I'm sorry. Like, I grew up in the wrong decade, apparently, for all this cyber buzz, because I get all excited and just want to type ASL every time I see cyber. So there's that. That's a real ISSA journal thing. Right. Oh, there's Louis. All right, so let's keep going. Pin tumbler locks. You giving drinks out? Let's just start handing them out, whatever. Pin tumbler locks are everywhere. They're on anything you see. Most lock implementations are pin tumbler locks, at least in the US. They haven't really changed a lot in about 150 years. They're very easy to manufacture and put together, which means there's a decreased cost for production as far as the vendor and manufacturer is concerned. But that means they get to mark it up like crazy, which in turn means they might sell you a lock that says increased picking security and you'll open it in 30 seconds. So just because it costs $60 doesn't mean it's going to keep anybody out. That is what she said. That's what Heather said. All right, so here's a basic assembly. This is kind of a blown up thing we made. All right, so some terms that we're going to throw around a lot. You may hear these in other contexts as well. Driver pins, key pins, and a springs at the top that I don't have. That's known as the pin stack. That's how a lock works, really. That's why those pins move up and down on the springs. Inside of this thing called the Bible, I have no idea why that's the case. I don't know. It's thick and irrelevant. It's the Word of God. The Ward of God, W-A-R-D. Yeah, there's some puns. Some religion insults and puns all in one. That's worth $20. All right, so you got the housing, you have the keyway, you have the plug, all these things go together. There's your pin tumbler. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Are the driver pins all the same length and the key pins vary?
Sometimes. It varies, yeah. The key pins generally are the ones that are different heights, as we'll see in a bit. There is some differences in the driver pins, especially if you're looking at master keying implementations. But I see another hand with the EFF. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. All right. Take it back. Take it back. All right, so a haiku for those of you in the Zen traditions. Pins sitting at rest prevent the plug from turning so the lock stays closed. That's basically all there is to a pin tumbler lock. Oh, there's Louis. So when the pins are at rest, here's the shear line. all of these driver pins are blocking that shear line. So if you try to rotate the lock without the key in, it won't turn because all of those pins are binding at that shear line. The keys are cut to specific heights that correlate to the heights of each pin. You put the correct key in, raises all of those keys to their pre-configured height at the shear line, which allows the plug to rotate and opens the lock. That is basically how a lock works. There are a lot of different variants on that here and there, but for the most part, that's it. Now, this is a nice little GIF here with what may or may not be North Korea's IPs, again. But this is essentially a cutaway. This made the rounds on several sites. I think I finally found it on Tumblr when I stole this GIF. But that's basically how, this is a 6-pin lock. But that's what goes on. We see the key go in there, interact with all of those. They finally all line up, opens the lock. That's basically the shtick. So what we're doing here is exploiting something related to the manufacturing process. So in an ideal world, in the perfect world, all the components would be very precisely milled. They would be very highly resistant to weather and wear and tear, those sort of things. And that would result in all of the pins binding simultaneously. Now that wouldn't necessarily remove the vulnerability that we exploit, it would certainly make it more difficult. And some of the higher end locks and some of the better locks, in fact, do produce things better. Whoa, I saw that. Woo. That's the Holy Bible. Man, these guys on it. The Word of God's Holy Bible. This is what the Bible actually looks like. These guys have nice little lips cut out of them. Considering that we're working with very small tolerances, that's what she said. The thousandths of an inch difference does matter. That's what she said. The plug looks similarly as well. That has a nice gash in it. That is also what she said. And the pins look pretty rough too, so they have a difficult time sliding in and out of the Bible. Which, if you're into that, and what that causes is when you attempt to rotate the plug, generally one of those pins will bind first. Oh, are we out? Well, we have some more woodchuck. Yeah, pass out the woodchuck. Sorry about the Schlager being gone, but I figured a 5th and a mini would be plenty, but what do I know, HackerCon? Sorry. Oh, that's why. So it was well made. So this'll, I'm sorry? What? Yeah. Too much Schlager? Heather knows what's up. We got to get Adam laid. You got to get y'all drunk. So what we do is we take a tension wrench. It takes 2 tools, by the way. It's, if you ever see a movie or a TV show where they're only using one tool and wiggling around, like sometimes, I mean, you can just stick it and wiggle around if you want. It works sometimes. Not in lockpicking. That's what it takes 2 tools in lockpicking, and yeah. Insert a tension wrench, either top or the bottom. You insert the pick, and what you do is you start hunting for that pin that's binding. So you put very light, consistent tension on the cylinder, and as it's attempting to turn, it will turn just so much that one of those pins binds. And you can set that pin. Because we're working with thousandths of an inch sort of tolerance, it'll stay up. And then you move on to the next one, and it'll stay up too. They just all stay up. They don't need pills or anything. It's very light tension. You get to the point where you start to feel it push back, and you know you're doing it just right. That's not about lockpicking. So I was going to do a demo, but I have no idea what time it is. Are we on time? I can do a demo. I'm fine. Only 5 minutes, right? What? Yeah, this is what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to take my tensioner, I'm going to put it in the bottom, and I'm going to take the pick, and I'm going to put it in and just jiggle around a little bit.
He's almost done.
I should, oh, wait. No, I'm almost there, stop. Nope. There, open, got it, I'm done. That's all it takes me. If you're on antidepressant, it takes a little bit longer, but sorry, it comes with the game. Wow. I'm not even going to try that. This is another one. I was going to attempt to pick that with a lot of finesse, but I'm just as into the in and out banging right now. So, right. A bit about the tools. Listen, it's okay to have a curved tool in lockpicking. Nobody will make fun of you. They won't make any around the corner jokes. It's a good life for some people. And there are all kinds of different tool configurations. Deviant actually has a really good talk that I've seen him do a couple of times on just about lockpicks, what they're used for, what sort of, yeah, thank you, what sort of implementations they're good for, how to use them, pardon me. And you can do an entire talk on this. Really all you need, something a bit like this, maybe a bit like this if you want to really work it in and out. Something a bit like this. Really something with a point on it. Because what you're doing is you just need to get in there and work it. It's bad. I set it up so awfully. Like, I hadn't even gotten this thing out yet. And like, I can't wait till... But you're in there, you're trying to work those pins. You raise them up to the shear line, they'll set in place, and then you just keep going, move on, one after the other. It will open, it'll work with you. Tensioning is the key to successful lockpicking. That's my only original pun. Tensioning really is the important thing. A lot of times when people first start picking, they think it takes a lot more tension than it does. And honestly, you can take a tensioner, put it in the bottom of the keyway for just starting out, and the amount of weight that tensioner itself provides is usually enough turning force to open that lock. So if you can simply use your finger to hold it there with that appropriate tension, stay with it. If you find something that's working, keep going, right? But it needs to be very light tension. If your finger starts changing colors or it leaves indentation in your fingers, it's too hard. So you just very gentle, take it easy with it. The pick itself's a different ballgame, but tensioning has to be very gentle and appropriate. Right? So how can we fix this flaw? Well, there's a couple of quick ways you can do it. If you have bad locks, so I'll give you an example too. Like a lot of people ask me after talks like these, what do you have in your house? Well, I have double glass back doors. I got a $15 quick set. Somebody's not going to pick that lock. They're going to pick up a chair off of my deck and throw it through the door. It doesn't matter what lock I've got on there. I've got weaker points of entry to worry about. Yeah, they'll still lie. They'll just take it out. Like, whatever. At least it's not one of those quick sets that you can open with a screwdriver that they don't like to hear about. So, like, completely aside, I'm off of this now. We were at UNC Charlotte, when we were there in the fall. And there was actually a quick set rep there the day we were doing our stuff. He didn't know we were going to be there. And we had fun. But he honestly did not know about the quick set, what's that thing called? The rekeying one? Smart key, thank you. Yeah. Drink. Smart key is a differently designed lock that allows you to rekey it with just a tool in the master key. Deviant, again, props to him. Hope he's got plenty to drink right now. If he doesn't, we'll buy him some stuff. Do you want mine? Drink. He's actually got a great video where he took a smasher tool and just opened it up. And that one still worked, right? Like when you got done with it, that one still worked? Yeah, so, and it doesn't work when you go to change the lock at that point, but like you can have repeated entry with that tool. Technically not break the lock. But honestly, like this guy had never heard of that. And he was like, well, we had this competition and nobody, I was like, well, technically it's destructive. He was like, oh, well, we're not worried about that. Like, you put plastic in your lock. Why is that okay if it's a destructive entry? Like you maybe just 3D printed a lock. No, 3D printers are cool, but whatever. So the keyways, those are some things you can change. You can make them look a little bit more complicated. You can change the pins too. I'm really hustling through this, right? All right, wafer locks. They're also ubiquitous. They might be the worst lock ever. I have looked at one sideways and it cried and opened. That's not the wafer lock. This is my desk. This is my gun lock. That's my car. These are all things I've opened. Oh, that's my ignition. My Corolla 2000. It's in the parking lot, by the way. It's got a Triforce, an old fag Triforce on it. It's got some. Yeah, and a unicorn bumper sticker. I'll just say, if you're attacking the lock on a car, you're breaking in wrong. It's a different talk. I won't, because this is not a vendor con, I won't read that name, but you can read it. Dave Marcus gave me this picture. Those are easy to open. That's a sharp spin, so if you need to like shoot up and you're at the hospital. I mean, you can't catch AIDS twice, right? I should be fine. This came out of my filing cabinet. My wife was like, "Why are you taking that out of the filing cabinet?" I was like, "Well, I need to take some pictures of it for my talk. I'll put it back in." And like, this is like 2 years ago. It is not back in there. It's like, I think it's in my bag, honestly. She puts up with a lot, clearly. But a wafer lock works under the same principles. You have these, instead of pins, you have wafers, and they're spring-loaded, and they push different directions. They keep the lock from turning. You insert the correct key, and it will adjust all of those wafers to the correct heights and allow you to open it. Oh, there's Louis again. Oh, we have another haiku. Wafer lock appears. Lockpicker use rake technique. It is effective. Really anything with a bump or a curve. So this is where, curved tools come to an advantage. Just gotta know how to work it. Honestly, these things will open really quickly. Yeah, just a tip, just see how it feels. Though we're gonna get to that. There's actually a perfect setup for that joke, so just wait for it. It's coming real soon. I love using that one. I love using that joke in ISSA, and like half the room's just like, I can't laugh at that here. My boss is beside me. Oh, I took it out. So what you can do, I just ruined it. You can do an overlifting attack. You can do this with either a blank key or sometimes you can do it with a popsicle stick. And you can stick it in the wafer lock all the way and twist it and pull it out very slowly. And those wafers will actually get caught on the opposite edges. Then you can take the tip of that, here we go. You take the tip of the popsicle stick, just the tip, just see how it feels, and open it because those wafers will stay in place. This is called an overlifting attack. You're dying, don't you know? How you doing? Padlocks are a thing. That's a thing. You can decode combination locks. You can shim them. Oh, I have another haiku. Simple to make them, more expensive than they ought to be if buying. Here's a process. I had Diet Sierra Mist. Because fuck you, it's America. I can drink what I want. And I was making some shims. USA. USA. So you cut out a bit of a square. You make it look like that. You fold it up so it looks like that. You stick one in one side. You stick one in the other side. You twist them around and it opens up. That's a great party trick. We like doing this at conferences to see how many people cut themselves on the aluminum and then making fun of them. That's just what we do. I'm sorry. I like to know what you're getting. Anybody can come to a fail meet once, by the way. Like, lots of people have come one time and just never came back. Because it's basically this. I talk just as much there. It's a good time. You can fix those with some Bane traps if you want to jack up you can't shim it with that. I'm not even coherent now. Put some ball bearings in it, change the catch mechanism, whatever. These are bump keys. We're going to talk about handcuffs too. I don't really like bump keys. I'm kind of multiple personality disorder when it comes to bump keys. One side of me says it's a serious vulnerability. It needs to be discussed. The other side of me says that shit got way overhyped. It wrecks a lock. So like if you have some bump keys and you want to test with stuff, feel free, by all means. If it opens the lock, awesome. But it might not open it 5 times because you might break it. So be aware of that if you want to start bumping things. Basically, bump keys work by taking the bitting, which is the key cuts, cutting them all the way to the lower approach. There are a couple of methods to doing that. Basically, you just stick them in, take a hammer, and whack it real good, and give some tension. It'll open up pretty quickly. It is effective. It does leave a mark, though. It's not, from a forensics perspective, it really does a number on the lock's internals. Warps them out, makes them all kinds of funny things. So it is noisy. You have to hit it about that hard. I mean, you'll smack it. If you're on a pen test and you're bump keying, you need to get a different job. Pro tip. If you're trying to break into a bank and you're bump keying, enjoy your headshot. Like, I don't know, man. It just isn't really practical in a lot of areas. It can be really quick. Because, I'll admit this. I know I have a biased hate and unreasonable hate against bump keys. So much to the extent that I decided we were going to do some contest at a meet one night with this guy who had picked before. I guess, had Randy picked before? No, he'd never bumped before. And I was going to give him a master lock 3 and a bump key. I put on a pair of handcuffs, and I was going to pick the lock and get out of handcuffs before he could bump the lock. And like, we're like, all right, go. And like, he tensions it up and pow, opens it right up. I was like, oh, it's just a fluke. No, but, So we did it again. Pow, opens it right up. I was like, fuck that. So bump keying works. I just don't like it. Sorry. No, well. All right, handcuffs are fun. I have another haiku here for a disclaimer. Escaping is not recommended approach if the police are there. You will get curb stomped. All right, fucking handcuffs. How do they work? Miracles. What vulnerabilities exist? Basically, there are a couple of vulnerabilities here with handcuffs. Because we have this spring-loaded lever, you can either go through the keyway and manipulate that, which is what you see people do when they're picking handcuffs, or you can completely disengage that all the way by inserting a shim from either side. I think I have one of Deviant's gifts here. I do. By completely disengaging that lever, it will start to slide open. Appears that I don't have the entire gift. You get the point. I'll do this. This is where I can do a pretty quick demo. There are features in place to prevent this, but there are ways to defeat those as well. So I have a nice little cut piece of metal. You can use a tensioner if you have one thin enough, but we actually buy these from a place in Georgia that makes them for us. And you slide it in, and you get out. And if you're behind your back, you can either do it behind your back, pull your cuffs around front. Again, if a cop puts you in these, I don't recommend that. And most cops, except for Mark's dumbass ex-wife, know about this. What? North Korea. North Korea may or may not. Like, they probably found those in the unicorn cave, and they found out about shimming that way. That might be what they actually found in the unicorn cave. But shim prevention is an interesting topic. What I have here are two standard police issue cuffs for the Winston-Salem Police Force. Basically, they pick whichever ones they get for their new recruits based on which one will sell them the cheapest. So there's not like any real security considerations going on. Restraints are assistance. They're an effort to give the police officers an upper hand. They are not in and of themselves full restraints. So they know that. They generally know how to interact with that. They know how to watch for people who are attempting to escape. So I don't think you're going to pull one over on them necessarily. You might, but this is a Smith & Wesson M100. This is a Peerless 010. You can already see, if the lights are okay, there's a massive gap here that is not here. Now, I just shimmed the Peerlesses. I have the Smith & Wessons somewhere. So it's a little bit easier to shim these because there's a little bit more room to work, more like a hot dog in a hallway. But it's still possible to shim non-double locked Peerlesses. So there's not a whole lot going on there. On the other hand, well, I already did that. On the other hand, there's a wonderful company out of Korea called Yule. Peerless is also out of Korea, but they don't do this. Yule makes some really nice handcuffs. These are aluminum alloy. They're very light. They feel like toys, but they are not. You get in these without a key and double locked, you will have to cut yourself out of them. We have spare keys. Good. It's for later. As you can see, these have a nice little bar in them that runs the full length of the paw so that you can't get a single shim. Now, I've played around with trying to Dremel a slot down one of my shims, and I hurt my thumb. I did. It was bad. I didn't bleed, but I felt bad, so I quit because I don't really like pain. I figure, no, I won't use that joke. But there's just not a lot of room to work with. I could probably figure out a way to do that, but out of the bat, these Yules are better off. Again, they aren't going to be issued in North Carolina. I don't know. They're not going to be issued in North Carolina. I know in Winston-Salem, police officers cannot carry cuffs that don't take a standard key. So they can upgrade after the fact beyond their police issue. Well, I think technically they're not supposed to, but the rule in the books is your cuffs have to take a standard key. These Yules actually don't. In addition to this paw being split, they do have a split key as well. The flag is split. Now, Tool did some great work a couple of years ago, and they figured out that you can take a standard Smith & Wesson key and Dremel a slit in the middle of that, and it will open these. So that's pretty handy. The universal handcuff key is a great little bit of research they did. Very appreciative for that knowledge. But other companies have attempted to do this. ASP, I've got some ASP cuffs. I'll have them up here. Drink. They actually did a split ratchet. So on the inside of the lock, or the inside of the handcuff, I don't think I have macro pictures of that. Each one of those guys can be spring-loaded. So what you have here is a single pawl type deal. And you can actually split this guy out and make it multiple levers. Yule has 2. I have a pair of ASPs that have 3. But the ASPs didn't do anything to keep me from putting a shim in there. And it's a standard key. So, like, it's just as easy to shim. I don't really understand what they did other than wanting to charge a lot for them. So, at the end of the day, right, this is a lot like fishing. Being a pen tester, I got to throw this analogy in there. Poor bank I did a couple weeks ago. So I sent out an email from their IT, because that's what you do. I was like, hey, your Cisco SSL VPN software needs to be updated. So go to this website. Users don't know that they don't update their SSL VPN. Got a Java payload on there. Pull down a piece of malware that Matt's going to talk about tomorrow. It works really well. And their AV actually caught my Java. Turns out AVG and Microsoft Security Essentials is harder to beat than like enterprise-grade Symantec, which my company gives me that I test with. My sysadmins, man, they're like, why are you testing malware again? I'm like, did you stop getting alerts? Well, yeah, like, that's when you should be worried, because I didn't quit. I just beat it. Hey, USA. We write malware. What's up, APT? I hear APT Team 2's here this weekend. Comrades. But it caught my Java. So what I did was a couple hours later, I sent another email out that said, hey, there was a phishing campaign this morning, and everyone might have been affected. It was self-propagating malware. We need you to go install this cleaner. It was the same download. I just made them actually download and run it instead of trying to load it in through some Java stuff. And that was fun. I had admin on their core processing box in about 2 minutes. What's up, admin tokens? So I say that, I really did have a point to that story. We talk a lot about users being the weakest link in our infrastructure environments. The same thing with physical security. Deviant's got a great picture of a locksmith van just like cracked wide open in a parking lot. It cracks me up. But like, if you're gonna put a zip tie on your chain or put a carabiner on it, like, you've got other things to deal with before you want to get into like the nitty gritty of, I need to have this high-tech lock. No, you need to quit putting zip ties on your chain. Like, if that's any sort of critical asset, all somebody has to do is really pay a little bit of attention and see that there's a lock on it, but there's a zip tie right next, or there's a lock on the front, but carabiner in the back, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we do have some additional resources here. Lockwiki.com is a great bit of a wiki-style setup on locks. It goes all the way down from how they work to how to take them apart, to how to rekey them in some cases. A lot of great stuff. I can leave this up here for a minute while I jabber on about it. Lockpicking Forensics is run by the same guy doing a datagram. He has a lot of really good macro photography of what locks look like after they've been used. So normal use versus being picked versus being bumped. Really, really, really great setup. Deviant, I think he has your Smasher tool lock as well up there. So that smart key brutality is up there as well. Of course, always give props to the Deviant. Great stuff on his site. Great resources there. We're very thankful for his contributions to the community. LP 101 is a forum. We are very proud, actually, to have a member in our group who actually had an admin meeting about whether or not his signature was offensive. They had to decide He's like almost one of the original members, and is Melvin 2001. And what's your tag? A high-tech penis. And like, they had serious conversation about whether or not that was allowed on the forum. So, right, yeah. Tick and. Security Snobs is a good place to buy some stuff, because this isn't from us. We can't sell things, right? Tick. And then Lockpick Tools. Lockpick Tools is where we buy our stuff. So here's the shtick. I'll tell you this right now. We don't officially have lockpicks for sale. We don't have anything for sale, officially, in our room. But if you leave here and want to buy, not from us, because we don't care where you get lockpicks. Actually, I do. I want your money. Sorry, broke the rules. He's going to kick me in the balls. They will give you the same discount they give us. So like if you want to buy a kit from them, tag us and we'll let them know you're coming. We can get you a code or something. Like they give us a pretty good discount, and they've told us, hey, if you want to send business our way, we'll give people the same discount we give you guys. So they're a great small company in Georgia, run by the Staplefords. The guy used to make the dies for Southard. So basically he's making Southard lockpicks for about half the cost. So it's pretty handy. They're good people too. So that's our stuff. Again, this may or may not be relevant to your interests, and that is definitely the end of my talk. So thank you very much. We'll have the Lockpick Village tomorrow. We'll do some more of this. And